Hello and welcome to another Lord of the Rings Rise to War video. I am the player who plays as the King under the Mountain, and today I'm just going to do a brief server update video because quite a lot's changed since the last one that I did. There is about 22 days left in our season now. This is the first TE season with the new mechanics in 2.0. Gotta say, to be honest, there isn't many troops which are actually worth coming to TE to try and use, to be honest. But I'll probably touch on that a little bit later on. For now, obviously I'm the player who's playing in Dobie, and we are in a kingdom with Aemon. There are a couple of other kingdoms which are fighting around the ring, which are nearly lost the plot then. Only and Axe are two other kingdoms who have got Crow and June as their sort of secondaries. Then you've got Hotter in the south, and Toby, actually, of all people, in the south also. So it's been a really interesting season so far and really fun. Something big happened today, so I'm just going to press the map and get on with it. So as you can see, only have occupied Amonlank today, as in they've taken the ring this morning. Great play by them. This pin's been hovering around this kind of amount for all the last week or so, and a little bit beyond that, where all these fellowships have just been fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. I'll go to the area. So basically before yesterday, actually, so we had been coming from the south here, and we were kind of here. So to be fair to Only, they pushed us all the way back yesterday. And then this is the fortress that they built here, as they're coming from the west. And Axed were coming from this sort of top side here. So we've kind of all been engaging around Dol Guldur for the last week or so. But it's actually been a lot of fun. It's made it so it's been pretty easy to fight, even with the new mechanics. So I actually made level 50 a few days ago. I'll just show you where I'm at. So I've got 4 level 50s. It's been like that for over a day or so. I have switched some gear, which I'll go into in a minute, but at the moment they captured this morning, and they did really well even with that, to be honest. We sort of tried to path. We couldn't get through the crossing that they pushed us down to, so we actually tried to path through here. We didn't get there in time, and they took Dol Guldur in about half an hour-ish, I think it was, which is pretty impressive considering you have to hit 70 level 50 armies while also holding off a couple of pretty strong kingdoms, to be honest. I think Axe got as close to here, and didn't get near the fortress to try and knock it down. If we'd knocked it down between us, you wouldn't have been able to take Dol Guldur, because that's the new mechanic. So it was pretty fun, to be honest, and it's been a stressful morning, but it's been a pretty cool season so far. So there's still plenty to do, and like I say, it's going to be fair play to Only if they hold that for the next 20 days, because it's been a really, really long time to sort of hold that out, I think. Obviously, since the last video, we got given 8 hammers by the devs, to be fair, in regards with the gear changes that they made. So I did make a couple of adjustments to my gear, and I'll kind of show you them now. So I've left my Dane gear as it is. Made some changes to Gandalf the White, and I'm still not 100% sure, but for now I've committed to this. So I did have a smoking pipe here with agility, which is now here. So it's fully refined. I just need to strengthen it if I'm going to use it. So I did have that, but the theory behind it is that I think it boosted my White Council by about 14%. So my White Council was at about 70% with the pipe. With the Silver Harp, the unit defense is so high that I feel that that's more useful over the entire fight. I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems that it sort of balanced out my results a little bit, and I kind of went through a day the other day where I don't think I actually lost a fight, to be fair. So I've kind of stuck with the harp, accepted that I'm not getting as much from White Council, and it's still pretty high at about 56% in battles, so kind of playing around with it, but I think that's probably the best thing I can do at the moment. And obviously I've got quite high command, so my command stat now is over 500. plus a lot of defense from both the weapon and my accessory. So I personally think that's the way forward. Happy to be challenged on that, I suppose. Since as well my last update, obviously the new kind of uniques have come into play where they're still the same, but they look different now. They've sort of changed what they are. Not sure how I feel about them, to be honest. I still feel like people like Dane should have the Helm of the Mountain. Gandalf's is pretty cool with the Ring of Fire. Bjorn's stayed the same. I haven't unlocked Bjorn's Note. That's the next one that I'll be doing. And this is Sauron. So what I actually did with the hammers was I made Sauron a lot faster. I switched a couple of agility pieces to him, and I've seen a lot better results, to be honest, since I did that. So I'm pretty pleased that I made that switch. As for Bjorn, I sort of took away, it'll be down here somewhere, so this axe here, and I knew that by breaking down, I had a hammer that I made in case I ever wanted to do a troop buff one. So I actually pulled that apart and made a fully refined blazing tongue, and since then I've seen more damage out of Bjorn as well. So I'm pretty pleased that the devs gave the 8 hammers, to be honest. I think without those hammers I wouldn't have been as successful as I've been in the last few days. So that's where I'm at gear wise. Could really do with any kind of Palantir, but something different from the Palantir would be nice. So that's kind of where we are. So from a contribution point of view, the fresh week, I suppose. So I'm currently a little bit further down, but over the season, let's have a look if I can find the season stats, because I felt like I've done a lot of fighting this season, to be honest. Let's go for this one here. So as you'd expect, Raven is way out in front, as he always is. And then I've got a little gap below me, to be fair. So I've been pretty active in fighting this season. I've really enjoyed, to be honest, the fights that we've had. I think I'm already over 3 million merit now, which for me at this stage is pretty high. And normally I get to somewhere between 3 and 4 million in a season, so I might get somewhere near 5 this season if it continues. So I'm at 3.1 now. From a barracks point of view, considering I'm fighting pretty much all day, every day, it's pretty healthy, and I put that down to the fact that I've got a dwarf settlement, and guardians are so sort of easy to conscript, to be honest. 4 or 5 hours and you've pretty much got another sort of 20,000 guardians. It's pretty impressive. I am using berserkers, and the reason why I'm using them is because they have a higher initiative stat than guardians. So on my Sauron, it's kind of like works out to be 18 initiative because I'm using an all small unit army, and then you get +5 bonus from using all small units. I haven't actually upgraded these, and I'll kind of explain why. One, I don't really think the skills are sort of what I want from them, but also two, if you upgrade them in the elite thing, it takes longer to conscript the units. So I'm just trying to sort of not take forever to conscript them is probably the key. So basically I'm just running queues and queues and queues of guardians all day, every day, which I'm okay with, to be honest. It's kind of, they're pretty effective, and they get around the results as I'd want them to. So just to explain where we're at with the map now then. So it's pretty settled. This kingdom here is hotter. They've kind of come around the bottom here. I'm not sure what their intention is, but I guess we'll find out. So we're kind of pinned at this crossing at the moment, and now we've got a 10-minute timer as well, so it's going to take us some time if we are going to try and push through here. I'll probably just send at that crossing, I would guess, as we could do with holding that, really. So I'll just send that. Problem is now as well, it's 20 stamina obviously with that, and I haven't got a great deal of stamina left from the day because it's already felt like a pretty long day, if I'm honest. So that was that. And that was kind of the gear choices. I'm not entirely sure that I'll definitely stick with these gear choices, but I'm pretty happy with them for now. The only other change that I may think of doing is I may consider finding, I've got a hobbit chest, which I might consider using a hammer to get this down for Sauron. Partly because the faster Sauron, the better, to be honest, particularly at the higher sort of levels. In most of the big fights, it comes down to the Sauron lottery. So one, if you're faster than everyone else, you have the best chance of obviously stealing the best buffs or maddening someone into the best buffs for yourself. If not, to be honest, it comes down to a bit of luck with who actually affects, say, a Gandalf. And I'll try and show you some reports to sort of show it. So this is the last however long. I've also done that stupid thing today whereby I kind of thought this result was a little bit funky. It's because Bjorn was already dead. So, you know, we all do it from time to time, which is a bit stupid really, but there you go. So I've just got some reports in a file here. So I'll start from the beginning. These are all pretty big fights, so you know, I'll go through them and I'll sort of show you what I mean. So this is a fight against Marxer, and I obviously outlevel them. I'm pretty sure I just about outgear him as well, but it looks like they've got some 1.0 gear for speed. So he's always faster than me. Nice Bjorn. Also nice Lurts. Obviously now you've got the 2-piece set, so boost of might there for Lurts. Also again, Lurts has got one of the best uniques in the game, so fair play. And Agility Gandalf. Again, pretty high respect as well, so there we go. So pretty decent build, so destroying my White Council fast. And if I have a look into the battle report here, as they're always faster, the first thing I kind of do is I go and check the pre-battle report, which is just here. So his Gandalf is the fastest thing on the field, gets in no problem. My Sauron tries, doesn't affect anything constructive with madness, which is a little bit annoying. And his Sauron didn't madden my Gandalf. So as you can see in this one, pretty comfortable victory. However, in this report here, where he was sort of 2/3 full, his Sauron gets hold of my Gandalf, typically, because it always seems to turn out that way in a few fights, to be honest. And my Gandalf casts White Rider on myself, which is never ideal, and just for fun, also casts White Council on his formation and not mine. Now, what I will say, this is a pretty common theme that they can't differentiate from fact. If one hits, the other tends to hit as well. You don't seem to tend to keep White Council and lose, say, White Rider, for example. So that's what happens. This is why Sauron, I think, is probably one of the more important commanders now, particularly in NRP. You know, it is the twisting factor in a lot of fights. We were fighting Axed yesterday still. Again, sort of from a resource point of view, it was a good trade. The gear's no slouch, to be fair. It was just I got lucky really with I know that my formation tends to beat this. That's a really nice set for Lurts, to be fair. Then going down, this is probably one of my best draws I've ever seen in this game. So it left us both with 10 health each, and we both recalled at that point. Obviously, he's got a touch more health, but there's a lot of T4 in there. So again, I was pretty happy with that result, to be honest. Shows no slouch either. And like I say, I've only really been picking out what I would consider to be the better of the fights. There's been plenty of fights over the last few days, and I tend to end up fighting morning till night time. So it's been fun. So that was that. Next is Dimir. Dimir's a really big whale as well. Got some really nice gear pieces. Bit of protection from his armour. I see 11 day in with fully refined unique. Z1 Gandalf. R10 Gimli, and again, quite nice. Got a little bit of a might set going on. I like these items on Gimli because it allows him to get the focus he needs for the unique to trigger properly. So that's kind of what I try and run whenever I run Gimli. And then he's got a pretty quick Sauron. So this is what I mean about smart gear choices. I do feel that this is helping me in this fight because there is a lot of similarities, and arguably, apart from Bjorn, to be fair, which is theoretically a bigger hitter than Gimli. It's quite an interesting fight, but I would say he out gears and possibly even out commander respect levels me as well. So something in here is working for me in these fights, and I beat him consistently yesterday as well. Again, another fight v show. This was not as close. To be fair, I think we had 3 fights yesterday. I think it was 1-1-1. I think we all kind of beat each other at one stage or another. It just depends on the coin flip with Sauron. This is another one with a little bit of T4 in. I do like Iron Warriors. In TE, they're probably one of the only units I would actually recommend using in TE for a couple of reasons. One, pretty much everyone's running something like a Dane, so they obviously synergize with him, so you get some bloodline skills, for example. But the other thing is because they have this skill here called Finesse, so they actually get minus 5% damage received. Plus, if you get full armor anyway, so considering most of the damage comes these days from physical damage dealers, you get minus 20% with an Iron Warrior. What I will say is, though, they are probably 3 times the price of a Guardian, so you kind of have to use them sparingly. I've got quite a few saved up for when I need to do something miraculous if it gets to that point. Sindarin is another one. Again, decent gear. Nice Astario. Nice Gandalf white. And of course, like everyone else, a Dane might set trigger in there, and then he's got some leftovers. I've had some really interesting fights with Sokobi. Again, pretty big whale, to be fair, and here using these from a resource point of view, this is a win for me, I would say, but obviously it's not a win on paper. Uses Shire Protectors a lot, and obviously these counter my units, so Sokobi's got some really nice gear. Nice Undying too, to be fair. It's nice to see Undying floating around. It's nice to see some guys in Only, to be fair, not running what you'd consider the actual meta and doing quite well, which is nice to see. These Shire Protectors are always good. Always think they're a pretty good set to have. They've got Unexpected Threat, Pure of Heart, and then their other one is they get Protected. They also get +2 initiative, so their initiative's 20. Would you run them on a Sauron? Probably not, because you actually want your Sauron to take the hits, but might be an interesting choice on Sauron, to be fair. Again, another victory v Demir. This was just before he leveled up, I think. Rain's up there in the production stakes. Again, not sure if this is all of his main, but he's up there really high in the production stakes, to be fair. He's got really nice to start as a starer. That does quite decent damage, to be fair. Nice to see. And then this is the joys of some 1.0 gear. So this is probably the best result I've had against him for a little while, to be honest. He's got some really nice 1.0 gear which buffs dwarves. Nice Gandalf the White, again with some 1.0 gear. Bard, again with some 1.0 gear. And Bjorn, again with some 1.0 gear. It's literally a case of maximising your count using 1.0 gear. The only thing I will say is under the new equipment rules is that now they are with this 2-set equipment, I think, trying to phase out people using 1.0 gear a little bit, because none of these trigger if you're using classic equipment. I mean, this set wouldn't trigger anyway, but you still kind of need, even if you like your 1.0 gear, you still need your damage, weapon and accessory anyway, as far as I'm concerned, because you need to maximise your damage. And that was kind of it, really, from a report point of view. Looks like I'm stood very happily on the crossing. Nice little victory there. My only issue with crossings now is that if I try and reinforce rather than recall, even though it shouldn't take that long because it's literally a couple of seconds away, if someone walks onto the crossing at all, my reinforcements die, and I'm not entirely convinced that should be the case. I feel like if they beat you, fair enough, but like if your reinforcements are coming from this side here, I'm not sure why they would be able to hit your reinforcements when they're on that side. I think our intention is, I don't think I'm saying anything out of turn here, to try and push only back out of here and give them a really long, horrible 20 days of defending the ring, but we'll see how that goes, because they've been really strong so far and really good opponents, and it's been a really fun server. It's been a strange situation where it's been a 1v1v1, and I think whenever any of the other sides have felt like they've been pushed, they felt like people have been ganging up on them a little bit, and it hasn't really been the case. I think people have just felt that way. And it's been a bit frustrating at points, don't get me wrong, but to be fair to them, they're the only team that's managed to get every other team out of the Dol Guldur sort of in a ring at the same time, so probably deserving of getting the ring at the moment, to be honest. What is here, Vork? So we're going to sit there, to be honest. But yeah, so not really too sure how the season's going to play out from this point on. I've got to admit, it's been, like I say, a lot of fun. I hope I get somewhere near 5 million prestige, that'd be nice. My production is high enough that I can afford to run. There you go, Reigns at the top. My production is high enough that I can afford to run sort of troop lines constantly, which is keeping us going. From a fellowship production point of view, obviously our kingdom's the highest combined, which helps. I think it's safe to say that at this moment in time, we've arguably got the strongest sort of kingdom overall. I think that's probably not unfair to say. But it's been really good and really interesting. So hopefully the fights continue. And to be honest, considering everything else, it's been fairly well tempered. So quite impressed with that, really. Then the other thing is as well, I know I kind of brushed on it in a separate video. Tactical forts have been brilliant, and forts in general have been brilliant, but obviously I have a tactical fort here. And what you can do in a tactical fort is, if you've got an army in there like so, you can actually add commanders like it's your settlement or whatever it is, and they'll come over. Great for changing out pathing armies and that kind of thing. Just so you can kind of do what you need to do. So it's been really good fun. As you can see, I've got no flying units left. I tried to take out some siege earlier on and hit a couple of armies instead, so that wasn't ideal. And that's kind of where we're at. But you can transport troops through. I'll just show you quickly the transport of troops, because I don't think I actually did that in the other video. So this is from my barracks. I can send berserkers here, and I just literally pick them up, pick a commander to transport them, and then they come over. And it's a lot safer than reinforcing, because you can't actually have your reinforcements picked off if they're being transported. Like, no enemy can hit them, whereas if you're reinforcing, enemies can hit them. So sometimes if you can get it close enough to the front, it's best to recall and carry on. It's coming at me here. A little bit of June coming at me there, so we'll see how that goes. But for now, that was everything really that I kind of wanted to say today. I think, like I say, fair play to Only. They've been great this season. I think everyone's been great this season, but they've played really smart stuff and pushed when they've needed to push, and pushed hard, and as well, they're really strong. So fair play to them. We'll continue. I'll do another sort of update in probably a few days or so, really. I think there's a few things I'd like to touch on next week in general about the overallness of the game, and probably go into some gear choices and things like that. Now people have got some more hammers. But for now, as always, always follow your nose.